Hello folks, welcome to episode 16 of the Inside Sports Podcast. That is of course with the DE capitalized. Your eyes don't deceive you folks. We're getting a mic up in here. It's about to be crazy from here on out. We finally fixed our audio quality, and so we're hoping that it'll make an impact. Post Super Bowl, we're definitely going to give our takes on it, but for right now, let's catch us up with some SIU sports. Joey, tell me about women's basketball this past week.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty strong week, another strong week defensively, specifically. We only lost by 3 against Illinois State. They're the #1 team in the conference. And then a huge defensive win against Bradley. Both of those were on the road, I believe. We were,
yes.
Yeah, both were on the road. We're back at 9-14, 6-8 in the conference this year.
Looking really good.
We got Friday against Belmont and then Sunday against Murray State. Those are both back here in the Ben Sarah Center. I think it's a 5-game homestand, maybe 4. It's a long homestand that we're going to be starting here. But the thing I just wanted to highlight is, of course, that defense. Ever since we started that breakfast club thing that Coach Bon White wanted to start, it seems like our defense has been a lot stronger. I kind of calculated it a little bit in my notes here. They're allowing under 60 points a game since the Breakfast Club started, and I know that's a small sample, 3 games, but before they were allowing about 77 points per game, so I mean that's just something at least to just be like our defense is having some progress at least, and I don't know if there's a direct correlation like I said, but whatever, their defense is playing a lot better and you like to see it. So, and then something else I just want to point out, Promise Taylor, double yesterday. What more could you ask for? We rebounded very, very well against Bradley, and what more could you ask for from our team?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a lot of things here. You know, the Breakfast Club, right, making a huge impact. Really close game against #1 ranked Illinois State in the conference. I mean, that's something that means something to this team. You talk about having a homestand. We beat Murray State last year, or not last year, but sorry, the last time we played them. And then this Friday is going to be tough at Belmont. That's not really debatable. Belmont's very, very good. However, this homestand, we might see the girls go over 500 in the conference. I mean, we're sitting at 6-8 right now. It's not unfathomable to think that we're going to get all the way up there. So that's really, really good. That's really, really promising for this women's basketball team. I love that you pointed out the rebounding, because the rebounding is huge, right? I think that's been something that, and we'll talk about this in a bit, the men's basketball team's been struggling with just a little bit. You know, we'd like to see that the men's basketball team rebound just as well as the women's basketball team. So really happy to see, and really happy to see this team progress even more. It seems like Kelly Von White is really making her staple on this team.
Yeah, you guys just talked about it. Better rebounding, better defense. And one thing that we wanted to see this season, whether or not we kept winning or losing games, was improvement. And we've seen that, especially over the last week. I would love to see if Belmont comes in and we keep it a lot closer than we did last time. Obviously, allowed 100 points against them. Even if it's in like the 70s or 60s maybe, that's a win for us. And we keep showing improvement. I cannot wait to see how much better this team gets down the stretch.
That's right. So, on to men's basketball. Really weird week. I take the blame once again. Of course, as soon as I said, do you think this team could make the tournament without winning the Missouri Valley Conference tournament? It's been a rough couple of weeks. I think that's pretty apparent. Really disappointing loss. It all started with the Illinois State loss. I mean, really, when we were there at Buffalo Wild Wings watching it all unfold, we were like, oh man, is this what this team's going to look like for the next month? We were correct. Rough win at home against UIC. We really dominated the game for the entire time, but then letting them back into the game at the end there, what was that about? I mean, UIC, we kept on talking about UIC this whole year as, oh, it's okay, that's 2 easy wins on the run. And then, meanwhile, it's like a 3-point game. Yeah. Pretty disappointing there. And then we talked about it last week, right? We said, this Drake game, we're going to see what this team's all made of. We're going to see what they got. How much heart do they have in them? And pretty disappointing loss, to say the least. Nice comeback in the second half. It was, but we fell down. We were down by 20 at some point. I mean, it was really just a little bit disappointing to watch, seeing as this team has played the rest of the year. We're 19-8 overall. We're 11-5 in the Missouri Valley. So certainly this isn't, we can't come on here and say that this season is now a failure and we got no shot at making it. I think it's like what I said in the podcast a couple weeks ago. We have the recipe, right? Really good shooting team, very good on defense in certain games. And I think that can really help us get a deep run into the tournament. But we're going to need to play our best ball. We're going to need to see almost winter break SIU basketball as opposed to this past couple of weeks. Joey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that Drake, all they had to do was take out Marcus Damask in that game.
That's
he only
right.
had those 5 points. I think he only had a couple shots that he got off because there just weren't those opportunities for him.
I know. And that happened in the Bradley game. Remember, they shut down Marcus Damask. That's why we ended up losing there on the road.
Right. So I just don't know if another team's going to look at this game film and be like, oh, wow, that's all we got to do. And did we take Southern out?
Mm-hmm.
If we can figure out a way to get it done with Lance and Xavier Johnson and whatever other scorers have to come in when Damask is having his off game or whenever they shut down Marcus Damask. But I just don't know if it just makes me very, very nervous heading into that conference tournament late in the season. So.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks ago, Cole, you talked about on the pod that third guy. When we were playing really well, it was Xavier Johnson who was taking a lot of that third scoring load, if you will. These last couple of weeks, it's been pretty much all Marcus. And if Lance is missing, the offense has been pretty stagnant. A guy that I would like to see step up in the next couple of weeks, Clarence Rupert. He shot a couple threes in the game the other day. Looked pretty good. He doesn't shoot a lot of them. I think he's going to have to take a few more to add a little bit of extra, oomph to this offense. And like you said, defensively has been pretty suspect, to say the least. Drake going off for what it was, 82 or something.
Yes.
So that was pretty tough to watch. Big games this week, like you said, Tuesday at Valpo and then Sunday against Bradley. Bradley, the only top team that we haven't really shown that we can beat them yet. Already
That's
beat
right.
Drake at home, even though they've crushed us. We know that we can beat them. We know we can beat Belmont. We know we can beat Indiana State. Let's see if we can knock down that last door here with Bradley.
Of course. I think that you really hit the nail on the head. And, kind of something I want to throw out with that Clarence Rupert take is that I completely agree. And in all honesty, I think that I don't see Clarence out there a lot anymore. I mean,
No.
I understand J.D. Mula has that senior veteran leadership with the guys, but,
Yeah.
when Clarence is out there, you can kind of see an impact, So I hope to see at least more of him out there on the court and, definitely see some other guys get in the spotlight. Next.
One thing I just want to put out there before we move on, I guess.
Of course, yeah.
They just looked bland from the start. And I don't know if that comes down to just coaching. I don't know if it's the whole team. But I really, really just think Brian Mullins needs to be the one responsible for bringing this team up before the game even starts.
I think that's a really good point.
Just as we head into late in the season. And if we can't do
course.
that, it comes down to Brian Mullins.
That's
Another
right.
thing I want to say is, on the Brian Mullins topic, what is he telling these guys in the locker room right now? Is it, hey, I still believe in all you guys? Or is he a little skittish, telling Lance and Marcus, hey, you guys have to be the ones to step up, as opposed to bringing the whole team together? I'd be curious to see Tuesday at Valpo, and obviously going into the weekend, big home game against Bradley, how they come out looking, especially offensively. Do they have that multiplicity because of the confidence that Brian Mullins instilled in them over the last week or so? It'll be interesting to see how we play down the stretch.
I think that's you hit the nail on the head right there. We're going to need to come out. We need to kick Valpo's ass on Tuesday. I don't think there's any way of going around it. I think that with how we've played these last couple of weeks, we're going to need to come out and really try and take their heads against Valpo, and that's going to be on the road. And what's the thing we said about this SIU team? They kind of struggle on the road. So I hope to see something different, especially because we're winding up towards the conference tournament round, and I'd love to get some momentum heading into that. But anyways, softball just started. We kind of preluded their season last week, and boy, oh boy, I mean, 4-0, dominating this weekend in Florida.
Perfect.
Yeah, they absolutely creamed a lot of the teams. I put down here, 22 runs in 4 games, and then 9 to close out the weekend against UNC Greensboro. They beat them like 9 to, I believe it was 9 to 6. It could have been 9 to 3 though. I might be getting my numbers mixed up. Really awesome weekend. We're really happy to see it. This next weekend they're going to be playing in the Porta Vallarta Challenge, which is going to be tougher. They're going to play a team like Kansas. They're going to play teams like Ole Miss. These more established programs, and a lot of the ones they played this past weekend. But nevertheless, I mean, really good to see it out of these girls, and really great start to the season.
Yeah, and Riley Hamilton, she was responsible for 8 of those 22 RBIs across those 4 games. She's a stud. She's going to be a beast this season.
She's going to be like J.T. Weber last season. We'll talk about that, too.
Of course. And strikeout numbers just as a team so far has been low, so I mean that's a good sign to see just to start off the year. I mean, it's what they're supposed to do, I feel like, at this point, but, they did their job. That's what we wanted to see. And pitching. Great stuff from the newcomers that I kind of mentioned last week was kind of a question mark.
Yeah.
And Maddie Everly, she's amazing. 12 runs of 0 run ball.
Man.
I think she pitched in 3 of those games because one of them was a full game shutout by, I think it was Hockerman. She had that full game shutout, and then, or excuse me, it was Stinson that had the full game shutout. Hockerman also performed terrific in their debuts. Stinson with 4 runs and 10 total innings, and then just what more could you ask for in their D1 debuts?
Yeah,
great
really
for this
impressive to
team.
see that.
I think it's definitely a key to get your pitching going early and get that confidence. Last week talked a lot about the rotations and who's going to be the 1, 2, 3. Obviously, they don't pitch as many starters in the rotation as baseball. The arm can last a little bit longer. And it's great to see Eberle, Stinson, Hockerman all go out and have a fantastic performance. In Florida, now they go to Mexico, the Puerto Vallarta Challenge, where it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but I think it'll definitely give us a good gauge of where this team is going to go. The other question I have is who's going to be that staunch middle of the lineup, bases clearing player, like a Jenny Jansen type. She's gone obviously from last year, but I trust Jen Sewell. She's laid a great foundation after Carey. She's going to keep this train going. We're going to have a great season. I can't wait for them to get back up here. I'm a little jealous that they get to go to Mexico after going to Florida. I mean, come on. The weather's all right here now, but you can't beat 80 and sunny. So
that's absolutely right. Alrighty, sorry folks, we had to cut out a little bit right there. We're having a party in the Daily Egyptian newsroom right now that we are missing out on to get this great content to you guys. So if you hear a little bit of noise in the back, that's bound to happen. So we do apologize about that. But let's get back to baseball. We'll start talking about baseball. They've got a really exciting weekend this week against Wofford. They got 3 games against Wofford, sorry, not 2. And then a game against Townsend just thrown in there. Last year was a really, really spectacular year. There's no other way to say it. We went 44-16 last year. And we are picked to be the preseason conference favorite because we got a lot of returning guys like Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year last year, Kay Barag, and we're going to be talking to, actually, third baseman Ryan Rodriguez today on this pod. So we're really excited to get that to you. But, however, part of our success last year was infielder Gray Epps and outfielder JT Weber both had incredible years, especially JT Weber, who was on an absolute tear to start the season last year. Joey, what can we expect from the team this year? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned we lost a couple guys, but we still have a couple guys returning. Like you mentioned, Kay Barag, he had one of the greatest Saluki seasons ever. I'm pretty sure it was like 4th most hits. I didn't write it down, but it was like 4th most hits in Saluki history he had last season.
Wow, yeah.
He's going to be a really valuable member on this team next year, especially as a switch hitter that he is. And there's not a whole lot of guys that can do what he can do, at least on the field as a shortstop.
Absolutely right.
And then something else I just wanted to mention, pitching. We're absolutely filled with right-handed pitchers, and we were last year as well. Tanner Lewis and Jordan Blomer, I hope I said that name right, are the only lefties on this team. So that kind of makes me worried. We definitely need a couple more lefties, I feel like, that can be dependable. But, you know, we were terrific with pitching last year. We had that combined no-hitter. We don't have very many of those, of course. There's no reason why we can't have another season just like that. Lots of our pitching is returning with names like Jake Combs, Matthew Steidel, Ben Chapman, and Ben Reify. I'm pretty sure Matthew Steidel was ranked as like the 4th best player in the NBC this upcoming season. So that's another huge name to be looking out for this next year. And the walk numbers, those are pretty low for this team. They were last year, so there's no reason to expect why they can't be this upcoming year. And most of the staff is pretty much the same as well. So
yeah, definitely a lot of high expectations, that's for sure.
Yeah, Lance Rhodes is raising expectations exponentially, and that's what we want. These Saluki baseball games are absolutely electric. He is igniting a fire at H.E. Jones Stadium. Pitching is going to be the key this year, though. We know we've got a lot of offensive pieces coming back, some good JUCO transfers coming into the lineup. Pitching is going to be the key. I don't think we have any left-handed starters, and I'm pretty sure Lewis and Bloomer are bullpen guys, so we don't have any left-handed starters as far as I know. That's going to be a key. Teams are going to know, okay, we're going to go lefty-heavy in our lineup when we go against them, so that means the defense is going to be crucial for team success this year. It did hurt us a lot last year, especially in conference play and, of course, in that Missouri Valley Conference tournament. So I'm really excited about this season, both baseball and softball. I expect really big things from them. And, yeah, 42 straight wins. 2 straight seasons of 40+ wins. I think we're going to do it again.
Sky's the limit for this team, that's for sure. That'll be all for us at the Dogs at the Vet. Now let's talk to Ryan Rodriguez. Hello, folks. On this week's episode of Saluki Space, we're here with third baseman for the SIU baseball team, Ryan Rodriguez. We're going to get his takes on this upcoming season and maybe just a little bit look back on last year's team. But first, do you have a core memory, some would say like best memory with the guys on the team?
Definitely, I would say the stuff that goes on in the locker rooms, just like celebrations after, our big wins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think, the relationships you have with the guys that you meet on the field, those are the things that are going to last and stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
There were a bunch of comeback wins last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm talking about. After those, everybody's like pumped up, you go celebrate the win, you blast the music, in the locker room and stuff. So, there's a lot of good memories.
What was it like after that SEMO game? I remember that's the one of the few that I went to last year where you guys were down big time, but then you guys stormed all the way back. I'm sure that had to have been like absolutely crazy in the locker room.
Yeah, exactly. Like all those close games, every single one of them, they're exciting. But the SEMO game was fun because coming back, and I believe it was we're playing under the lights, and so it was cool. Yeah, it was exciting. It was cool. Then I believe Coach Rhodes used to coach at SEMO too, so there's a little history there, but it's a good game.
Nice.
What is your walk-up song, and do you have like a story or reasoning, just something behind it as to why you chose it?
Yeah, so it was California Love by Tupac, and I think it just fit me because I'm from Southern California native, so I was just like, that'd be a good little introduction for my first year here in Southern Illinois at Carbondale. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You go to school in California.
Yeah.
Now you're down in southern. Let's just face it. It's boring here in Illinois. At least I'm sure compared to California. Yeah. How's that transition been for you? Are you are you just dying to go back home whenever baseball season's over?
No, that's an understandable question to ask because it is a lot different when you come from, I guess, where I was, and then come to like Southern Illinois and come to Carbondale. But so I guess I had a pretty easy transition coming to SIU because the year prior to SIU I actually played in even smaller city, Mount Carmel, Wabash Valley, and so I kind of got hooked up there because during COVID I wasn't able to play at the junior college in California. That year, unfortunately, our season got cut 2 years in a row. Oof. So the second year was when I had just verbally committed to SIU. So Coach Rhodes helped me out, find a school to play at. So I was able to get a little acclimated there with the weather and kind of the small scenery. But I think one thing that helps for athletes is like you're really locked in, you're focused, no distractions, and it puts you in that place. So I enjoy it from a baseball athletic perspective.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that from like the football program at Miami still struggling, and we can see why. They go to school at Miami, so it's like, like what can you do?
Yeah.
Something I just thought was kind of an interesting question. Which teammate of yours, and maybe it's even you, do you think would win in a home run derby?
Let's see. Let me think about that one. Last year it was definitely JT Weber.
JT went off
last
last
year.
year. JT went off last year.
Now this year, man, we got some guys with some pop, but we got a newcomer. His name's Matt Shark, and he's our first baseman this year, and that guy got some serious pop on him. I think he had like 20-some home runs in his JUCO that he came from. So I'll give it to him. I'll give it up to him.
To a newbie. That's interesting.
All right, wow.
So that's for this year.
We're putting him on notice. You got a shout out, Matt.
I was kind of thinking of maybe Caber at all.
Yeah, Caber too. I'd say, but like just raw power. That guy's up there for like a home run derby contest.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it would be exciting. You'd throw all of us in there. So
I'd love to see it.
We got some other guys too, like Shork too. He got a lot of pop. It kind of sounds similar. Last name. One Shark and one Shork. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as an infielder, you're primarily like a third baseman generally, but a lot of these guys in the MLB. Are there some of those that you kind of look up to? Some names right now, at least, like Nolan Arenado, Jose Ramirez, Chris Bryant. Of course, I'm a big Cubs fan. And Manny Machado. Are there some of those guys that you kind of like model your game after? Is there one guy that you model your game after specifically?
In a general sense, I haven't really like ever done that. and I know that might seem a little surprising, but you said Nolan Arenado. He's a guy I enjoy watching play. He seems like just like a gritty type dude, not so much like flashy on the scene and everything, and little like one time I went to a St. Louis game and it seemed a little like quirky because he was like on the field like before he got to play, like just imagining things.
Oh,
like
really?
Him, like fielding.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny because he's in game and he's like just doing that stuff. And I don't know if I'd see like Manny Machado doing that. You know, he's probably not like locked in as much in a certain sense. But he's a player I enjoy watching.
So do you kind of do something like that too, where you kind of like imagine things happening before the game even starts?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes, like if I feel like the hitter's swing looked like it was gonna come, like give me a backhand, maybe. I'll just like think in my head, like, all right, I'm ready for a backhand. Especially at third base, where the ball gets on you pretty quick, the hot corner. So it's like it's good to envision like what might happen. So when it happens, you're not like, oh, caught off.
Yeah. So you talk about playing third base. Last season you played first base for a while before coming back to third base. Was that more of the necessity, or do you think that Coach Lodes just like wants you there because you're just primarily better there? I don't know. What was that transition like? What do you think?
Yeah. I think so. In the beginning of the season, I wasn't necessarily a starter, but an opportunity came, and as a transfer, you want to get any opportunity you can to earn a spot, I guess, to start, and that first base spot opened up, and I as an infielder, it's kind of one of the easier spots on the infield. You just go and catch it, and there's some underlooked things, like if somebody makes a bad throw, you pick them up, and so that was fun. But it seemed like an easy transition, and it was like where I helped the team out best at that time.
Yeah.
So just talking about you playing first base, does that give you almost like a new appreciation for first baseman sometimes? I know you're usually the one throwing it over to first base at freaking 95 miles an hour, whatever it is, or even a shortstop or whatever, second baseman. But you got to take those. You got to take those fastballs at a hot speed, and I'm sure sometimes your hand gets tired or whatever, and then you got to do the splits sometimes, whatever you need to do just to make sure that you get the tag out on first base. I guess I'm just wondering, what was that like for you, and then do you have that new appreciation for first baseman now?
Yeah, well, you definitely can grow an appreciation if you're not aware of first baseman, because sometimes they don't get the not necessarily praise, but they don't get like the.
You don't think they get the respect they deserve?
The respect they deserve
yeah.
sometimes, because you can have like your shortstop, third base, like do like a sweet play, and they give them like this, not necessarily like a good throw. It's like in the dirt, and it's a lot on the first baseman side to pressure to like field that ball cleanly and complete the play. And so in some moments where you pick that ball, like everybody like is like, oh, that play, look at the shortstop at their baseman, but they forget about like the first baseman
that's a good point.
Picked it and saved it. And so I think you see that in the big leagues a ton. A lot of big league infielders get away with a lot of bad throws because you got a big league first baseman over there that's just going to scoop it out of the dirt if you like bang it right in the ground. So there's a lot of unappreciated things like first basemen like pick up their other infielders for.
Interesting. And so, we talked about your defensive side, obviously with third baseman and first baseman once, but let's talk a little bit on the offensive side. Slumps happen to everybody. I mean, that just happens, in any sport almost. But for you, would you say that you tend to either, let's say you're going through a slump, right, and you're kind of in that mental head space where you're like, man, it's not working out for you. Some hitters try and change up their swing. They try and change certain things, but some of them just, they're like committed to, no, I'm doing my routine. I'm doing everything the same way. Where do you fall on that?
Yeah. I think some people can get very superstitious when it comes to things like that, like a routine. Not that a routine's not bad. I think everybody has a routine that you need to fall back on, like if, go back to the basics if you're struggling.
Yeah, that's a good
point.
But
as in a sense of like a superstition, like my superstition, it's kind of funny, is to have no superstition. So some guys like, because I'm somebody too that like I could get in my head easy. Like if I'm like, oh, I don't do this.
Oh
I overthink it. So I like a few years ago I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just not gonna have my superstition.
Nice.
Not to have one.
Yeah.
So it's like some players they have to do like a direct thing, but I guess I just take myself out of that box, so I don't even think about anything. And I've come to realize after all the years of playing that slumps they do happen to everybody.
Exactly.
Even Mike Trout, you know, best players. You can watch them strike out 3 games, like strike out 3 at bats in a row, and it's about just like hey, this is baseball. You know, you're gonna fail most of the time.
Gotta keep your head up, move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I kind of fall.
Huh. Yeah, that's really interesting because I was thinking about that for because I'm a big basketball guy. That's at least like what I do a lot. And so free throws, right? Is that when you're standing there and everybody's eyes are on you? It's like the same kind of situation. It is, and so I know a lot of guys that they do the Curry thing because that's what Curry said was he was like, I just go up there and he just catches the ball and he just shoots because like just don't give yourself time to think about it. So that I could resonate with what you're saying a little bit.
Might be similar.
Yeah,
I think this is a good transition to even my next question. I wanted to talk about kind of the mind game of baseball a little bit. I've always been told that baseball is 90% in your head and 10% physical. I guess would you just kind of agree with that in a way? And then in reference to like being in a slump, how hard is it to just get back into that mode, you know, in a game like baseball when it is 90%, you know, mental?
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. A big part of it is mental because everybody fails in the game. Like the best players, they get 3 hits and they fail the other 7 times, and so everybody's failing. I think you know, when you get in the slump, some people just add more pressure to themselves that doesn't need to be there. And for me personally, what helps me out a ton too is I have a lot of faith in God, and so I think about it like when I'm on the field, like if I strike out, if I keep striking out, if I keep making errors and stuff, like fans might be upset, coach might be upset, you know, or other people might be upset, but it's like to me, who's bigger, you know, God or like other people? And it's like,
that's right.
I don't think God necessarily cares that if I like make an error or strike out, you know. He just cares if I, you know, keep my head up and do the best ability I can on the field. So that helps me a ton when it comes to that stuff.
I love that mentality.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a great mentality to have. And so, you know, all right. So we talked about the offensive side. We talked about the defensive side. Take us through last year a little bit. We talked a little bit about that before the pod. You know, give us your thoughts kind of on last year's incredible year. That was your first year with the team. That had to be very, very different. How was it for you coming in? Obviously, you guys winning probably helped your guys' connection with the team and everything like that. Just take me step by step through what that was like for you and for your teammates.
Yeah. Coming in, I didn't necessarily. I knew to expect a different type of culture.
Yeah.
Because, you know, just coming from a junior college, you kind of leave those cultures and behind, and then you step into like a new, brand new school.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, you know, I was pumped coming in because I knew that Coach Rhodes was like his first 2 years here coaching, and it seemed like he really changed the program around. And I didn't know too much about the school before Coach Rhodes, but I found out like, you know, there was like kind of a so-so 500 team.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to see Coach Rhodes come in and, you know, do a great job recruiting, bringing other good players, talented players around, and to see him change the program to a winning culture. Right when I got here, I was excited to expect to have that expectation to win, and to also just be around other talented guys. Like, you know, we got Caber from Curacao.
Yeah.
We got Pierre from Canada. So it's like meeting all those new guys. You know, when I first came, we had I think it was 15 to 20 junior college transfers. So it was like, that's a lot of guys for a baseball team to like be brand new and like come in the program. So that was cool because that was like the year I got here was like a bunch of new guys. So it was interesting at first because I knew you know, Coach Rhodes has a set plan and he has the vision for the program, but it's also like you got all these new guys from random schools.
He's almost like picking up this puzzle like as it's being. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So, you know, that was fun in the fall, and like seeing all of us like mesh together, come together, and then obviously season gets started, and we had a lot of moving pieces too throughout the season. You know, some guys were just like changing spots and stuff. And that's where I fell into too. Like, you know, I moved over to
That's
first
right.
base, but you know, it's a lot of fun.
And then last year, still talking about last year, it seemed like you guys were just never out of it. I remember being at one game, and honestly, I don't even remember who you guys were playing, but you were down like 12-2, 13-2, something like that, real early, and you guys came back and won it. And there were a bunch of games like that, as you mentioned earlier. You just come back. You guys just seem to have that ability last year. I guess, is that going to stick with this team this year? I think we're all wondering if it might have to come down to a comeback sometimes this year again. But, yeah, what does that say about the team last year, and how is that going to stick with us this upcoming year?
Yeah, I think what it says about the team last year was just we had some gamers, you know, some guys that were really willing to go out and just scrap for a win. And this year we have, you know, I think some key guys returning too. So
yeah.
I think you know, we got Caber, we got Pierre, we got Jack Rigoni. He's the one that hit the walk-off home run. And then you know, myself and
that's right.
got, you know, some other guys too, like Matthew Steidel on the mound. So it's like, I think it'll translate to this year and hopefully a longer run in the playoffs. But you know, we got to take that one game at a time. But you know, those exciting games, they'll come up no matter what. And I have full faith in all of our guys, 1 through 9.
Good
they
stuff.
could come through and make some exciing games for the fans too.
That's right.
Right.
Those walk-offs are fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
Keep talking about the walk-offs, I guess. I want to know, you had 4 walk-offs last year from what I saw. Does your approach late in games change based off of that situation compared to like earlier in the game, or does it? Maybe it doesn't at all. I mean, I want to know, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess for me personally, you know, I think of it like it doesn't change necessarily, like it shouldn't. You know, from your first AB, you should be like locked in, just like if the game was on the line. It shouldn't. But I'll admit it does a little bit. It does a little bit when you got, you know, because you get the little bit of like nerves going.
Yeah, you
the
get that
excitement.
adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, so that's what kind of changes it a little bit. You know, like the first AB, you should be locked in 100%.
Of course.
But when the game's close and it's like 2 teams are going at it, it's just you get that little adrenaline pump in. And, you know, you're just like locked in a little more.
Yeah. And so we were looking at, you know, where they, you know, what can we expect out of this year's baseball team? And we saw you guys are the preseason favorites in the Missouri Valley. And obviously last year it was a pretty rough end of the season with the Missouri State loss. I'm sure that had to hurt like hell. Yeah. Are you guys coming out and ready to play?
Oh, no,
I mean, are you guys coming for that number 1 spot in Missouri Valley? Is that
absolutely? That's not even
good.
a question. Not
yeah.
to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
Man, I'm pumped right now.
Yeah. Good.
It's short answer right there.
Yeah, you consider that. Yeah. Championship or bust. Okay, and then finally, just our last question that we have for you today. Are there any personal goals that you're striving for? Obviously, I know you want that chip. There's no debating wanting the chip, but I guess personally, where would you like to see either your game improve or you know what do you want to do? This is gonna be your last year. What do you want?
Yeah, I think you know, goals. It's simple to say, like, you know, I want to, you know, have a successful year on the field. You know, chase a championship again.
Yeah.
Personally, it goes back to my faith in God.
Yeah.
It's just taking it one day at a time. You know, like tomorrow's not necessarily promised. So, you know, when I think of the future, I'm like, it's in His hands. You know, and it just relaxes me. But just one game at a time. Do the same thing as last year. In future sense, I think I don't see myself in Southern Illinois next year.
Yeah.
Like after baseball, and I just necessarily hope that pro ball opportunities will arise.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Well, we hope that happens for you too. We thank you so much for being on this, man. And yeah.
Great for having me.
That's been it for us on the Saluki Space.
All right.
Alrighty, folks. The Super Bowl has been wrapped up, and boy, oh boy, were we wrong, man. It's what. Listen, if we ever all go on the same, pick the opposite. Okay, it's destined to happen. We all win Eagles. I do want to say, and I always do these. I always do these half points that I want to give myself. But I was saying, guys, this Chiefs team, they got Patrick Mahomes, guys. Got to watch out. You guys were very adamant on the Eagles. I kind of just jumped in with you guys because I was rooting for the Eagles. I'll be a little be honest right now, because I do like the Eagles much more. However, Patrick Mahomes put on a show. But we're just going to take you guys through the game. No picks this week, but first of all, the thing that I would like to point out first, right, that Nick Bolton fumble return touchdown absolutely changed the game. And I know we're talking a lot about the call, and don't worry, we'll definitely talk about the call.
Yeah.
But that Nick Bolton play, it was in the second quarter, I believe?
Yeah,
totally
I think so.
changed the game. Totally changed the game. So, give me your thoughts. You know, what did you feel the same?
Yeah, it definitely just changed the game. Hurts played an almost flawless game. He did throw one that almost got picked off. I think it was
true.
Thornhill and A.J. Brown went up.
Yes.
That did almost get picked off. But, yeah, he made the one mistake you just can't make in the Super Bowl. I mean, it just hold on to the ball. Nobody forced it out. You just have to just go down or throw it out of bounds in that case. And whatever he was trying to do, obviously, he lost it. Nick Bolton, he almost had another fumble return touchdown.
Yes, he did. Yes,
that
off the
called
Miles
back.
Sanders play,
And it was pretty obvious, but still, like, Nick Bolton almost won Super Bowl MVP. Could you imagine defensive player winning Super Bowl MVP? I mean, who could have seen something like that coming? You did. You had a defensive player just on the wrong team.
That's right.
Wrong guy. But, yeah, what a game. What a freaking game. And it was kind of messed up by the end of the call, which you said we'd get to. But, yeah, 24 hours later, it's just hard to believe that football's over. It kind of, I'm almost
It's a damn
relieved.
shame. It hurts.
I'm almost
It
depressed
hurts right now. Right?
A part of me is almost relieved though. Like it feels like, especially the NFL season, really like dragged on for a long time.
Yes, it did.
And the 2-week break between the AFC and NFC championships and then this Super Bowl, it almost took a lot of the air out of the game for me. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't feel the same.
No.
But obviously, when we got to the game, had our rooting interest, what we wanted to see happen. I mean, it was one heck of a game, one heck of a halftime show as well.
Oh, that's true. We should talk about the Rihanna halftime show.
And, I mean, it was a beautiful halftime show, for sure.
Yes.
But something I just wanted to mention. I think, at least for me, what I was expecting a lot more of was that Eagles' defensive line to show up, and they had no sacks.
Did they get a sack? They had
no sacks throughout the game. So that's kind of why I was expecting.
Now that's
Eagles
part of
just to win
that's
the game.
partly a testament to Mahomes. We can't ignore that.
Of course.
However,
I wasn't going to say that he was like a pedestrian back there, but I mean, he wasn't going to be able to move around as much, and yet he still did, and that O-line kept up for him. No sacks. It didn't really feel like he was even pressured at all that much.
There definitely wasn't. I can't think of a lot of plays in which Mahomes really had to make something. I think that's honestly the biggest shame of this game, is that I was listening to a podcast earlier this week. Shout out to the Bill Simmons podcast on The Ringer.
Free shout-outs? We're really giving free shout-outs?
Well, I'm just saying, if you want some more
plugging other podcasts.
If you want some more great content. He was like, there hasn't really been the Mahomes game yet,
No.
Like a lot of these legacy guys. Now you could argue it's the 13-second game. Like that's definitely up there for sure, but like there's not one where like Tom Brady, Falcons game, right, where he just literally carries the team. This wasn't even a good Mahomes game. He barely had the ball even. He never had to make like any. I mean, did he have great plays? Of course he freaking did. He's Mahomes. Like the one where he scrambled. He almost looked like he sprained his ankle there in that terrible field.
Right.
And then scrambles out. But it's honestly just a shame that we didn't get the legendary Mahomes game. I really thought that would be this game, right? Coming off the high ankle sprain. This Eagles defense, which does it have any holes even? I mean, and you thought he'd like put the team on his back. But no, it comes down to that fumble return touchdown. Comes down to certain calls that go a certain way.
Right.
I mean, that's how people are going to remember this game. I wanted it to be oh my God, Mahomes has 357 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's something special. But it wasn't that. And part of that is because, like you said, the Eagles didn't even get back there. And
And another huge thing that I think that we haven't mentioned yet is that Kadarius Toney punt return that ended up being the biggest punt return in Super Bowl history.
Yes.
That takes away a lot of Mahomes' passing yards.
That does.
Because I think he finished with, 180?
Somewhere around there.
Let's assume that's just a normal punt return. He probably gets like 50 or 60 yards that drive. That puts his total up to 240, 250, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that changes the whole outlook when you just look at the box score of Mahomes in this game. I mean, who knows what would have happened on that drive, but Kadarius Toney, in limited time, changed this game. He had that touchdown on the corn dog play.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, the Andy Reid coin, and then, of course, the punt return, like I mentioned. So only a couple touches, and he was still an impact player for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to get forgotten about in this game, so I just want to give him some love right
No,
Yeah.
no, you're 100% right.
Heck yeah, they ran that same concept one drive later too to Sky Moore.
Yeah.
If you look, I saw an overlay of both plays. It was the exact same copy and paste play, just flipped on the other side of the field. Andy Reid worked the Eagles defense in that second half.
Yes, he did.
And you know, there's some people calling for the Eagles DC Gannon, I think is his last name,
Jonathan
to
Gannon.
be fired. It's like, dude, they were the best defense all season, and they ran into Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs O-line, which is underrated. I think a lot of people thought that the Eagles were just going to feast. And the couple plays that they did get pressure, Mahomes was able to escape even on that bad ankle. He had that one big run late in the game. I mean, they just ran into a buzzsaw, and we talked about it. They probably were worse at every position group except for QB and tight end. And ultimately, Mahomes being who he is and being arguably one of the best of all time already, I'm not ready to say he's the GOAT, but him being who he is won them the game, and obviously special teams did too. So
in 99% of playoff and obviously Super Bowl games, if it's a pick 'em, you take the quarterback and the head coach duo.
No.
I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, and we were all dumb and we all went, oh, well, you know. I mean, because here's the thing: Sirianni's going to get this team, we assume, back because Sirianni seems like a great coach. Hurts, we got to talk about Hurts' performance. I mean, he's got that dog in him for sure. Really changed my mind on before the season. I wasn't even going to call him a top 20 QB. I didn't even know if he was a top 25 QB. Now, he's a lock for my top 10 easily.
Some of us saw that before the season.
That's true. That's true. And you got to give Joey Bernard his flowers, guys. But I mean, really, what a performance! Let's go ahead and dive into that, Joey. What'd you see out of Jalen Hurts?
Okay, I just want to bring up this question: is it too crazy of a thing to say that Hurts outplayed Mahomes?
There it is. Yep.
Did he outplay Mahomes?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You think?
I would
of course
say
Hurts
so.
outplayed Mahomes.
I would say so.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
This isn't saying that.
Mahomes did the game-winning drive.
This isn't even me saying that Mahomes played bad. He played a great game for however long he had the ball, which wasn't much. But the Chiefs' ground game was also going really well. They had 158 yards rushing. Mahomes ran for, I think, 44 yards. He had, like I said, the big run toward the end of the game. No, Hurts outplayed it. He definitely did.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, and throwing the ball, he was fantastic.
He did.
He threw a couple dimes in this game.
He absolutely
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, those 2 throws.
That one throw to Goddard on the 3rd and 14. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That was true.
That was absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, Hurts outplayed Mahomes. And I think the Eagles overall outplayed the Chiefs, but the Chiefs made those 1 or 2 plays that completely swung the game. That fumble return and the Kadarius Toney punt return. Like, Mahomes didn't do those things.
Yeah.
You know, those 2 plays and obviously the call, which I'm sure we're going to dive into
Let's
here in a minute.
Let's get into it right now.
Yeah.
Right now, we might as well. It's the ghost of this. To me, it really is a damn shame.
It is.
It's really a damn shame that a ref makes a call like that. Now, is it the correct call? Most likely, yes. Most likely, yes. Listen,
I don't know.
Those get let go literally every single possession.
Did admit that he was holding.
Let's talk about this real quick. The Eagles treated that with as much class
they did.
as you can.
Yes,
of course.
I hate whiny babies after the game. As an athlete, you can't sit there and do that. But Sirianni and, like you said, Bradbury did a great job handling that. Sorry, continue what you were saying.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I don't know if that really was. I don't know if I would have called it a holding call.
I'll tell you what, I definitely wouldn't. I mean,
there's definitely a case, though, I say.
Obviously, if things are exuberant, I have this rule with basketball, okay? Now, obviously, if things are exuberant, you need to make a call. However, to me, the way that I've always thought of basketball, the way I've always watched basketball, is you don't call a foul with less than 5 seconds in the game. You just don't. You can call it with less than 10 seconds. If there's 7 seconds left and somebody bumps him, he gets hurt. And I know that that's, not everybody's going to agree with that. But the LeBron, let's not remember when LeBron literally threw the diaper, like the...
Threw a temper tantrum.
Yes, temper. I could not think of temper.
Diaper tantrum.
That's literally what I was going to say. Let's remind ourselves of when LeBron threw his little temper tantrum after that Celtics game. Yeah, Jason Tatum got him in the arm. Is it a foul? Yeah. Guess what? You lose some of those. It went into overtime.
Yeah.
You have a chance to win it there. I mean, I remember probably the most mad I've ever been in one of those situations. Cut back to, it must have been 2019, if I remember correctly. Virginia versus Auburn in March Madness during the Final Four. And the closeout comes just a little too close to Kyle Guy's little legs. Yeah. And they called a foul with less than 3 seconds left in the game. And I said, you can't do that. At least that one wasn't nearly exuberant enough. I mean, hell, when I'm playing pickup basketball, if the ball touches the rim, I don't call a foul. Now, granted, I understand that that's completely different than in an NBA game between LeBron James and the Celtics, and it's like a legacy. That's not a legacy game because it's regular season, but nevertheless, I hate when refs, in that certain situation, refs are never the reason that you lose a game, but they, in situations like that, I mean, they did. They did. And they ruined the last 2 minutes of an absolutely awesome Super Bowl.
I think what changes a lot of it, a lot of people's perceptions of it, is the fact that it was definitely a overthrown ball by Mahomes anyways.
That too.
Let's say he didn't hold, it was still going to be overthrown.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. That was obvious. So I think that gets in people's heads. It's like, it wouldn't have changed anything about the play if it wasn't there. So
that's right.
Like rewatching it, how much did Juju really like slow down, or how much was he really impeded? He wasn't really at all. If there was anything, it was very minimal. I think the reason he threw the flag, and I hate this, but it's just the reality. Refs are trained that when they see certain things, like grabbing of the jersey, in their head, they see, okay, he grabbed the jersey, I have to throw a flag. Whether or not that actually impeded the play or not, it sucks. It really does suck, but unfortunately, that's the sad reality. And we ran into it in the waning moments of one of the best Super Bowls ever, which probably isn't one of the best Super Bowls ever now that it ended the way it did.
That's why I just can't stand it. That's why I'm going to be staying up tonight, just thinking about that call, just going, and it doesn't matter that I was rooting for the Eagles. It really didn't matter because what I kept telling you guys, we had a Super Bowl party together where we all watched. I kept on telling you guys. I was like, this is such a great game. The entire time I was like, this is such a great game. This is awesome. I don't care that the Chiefs are, keeping it close, anything like that. Just the last, it's how the Super Bowl will be remembered. Is that the last 2 minutes, just Mahomes taking a knee at the end of the Super Bowl at the goal line, Jerick McKinnon not running into the touchdown. It just, it hurts. It sucks. Jalen hurts. Good pun.
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Anyways, it just really, it's more than a shame. This is something that we could have been talking about for years, right? Let's say Jerick McKinnon just runs it in, right? And then Jalen Hurts has to make something happen. He scrambles out for, oh my God, he gets 30 on that run, and they're in field goal range, but they need a touchdown.
Right.
Like, I keep thinking about that version of the Super Bowl instead of, you see that, as soon as you see that flag come out, that just, oh man, it hurt everything. That being said, Chiefs are a great team. Chiefs did earn the Super Bowl, I think. But it's kind of what you alluded to earlier, where I feel like the Eagles, when you dominate time of possession like they did, when you do all that stuff, like, doesn't it seem like the Chiefs are just one of those teams that just like magic things happen to them, where they just are always advantageous no matter what? They either get a call or they get a punt return, like you said, and that's obviously skill. But
awful
oh my God,
by the Eagles punter too. That was a line drive. Awful punt.
True.
Awful punt.
You can't be doing that. I mean, special teams, right? It's one of the most important parts of the game. People always minimize it, but that's really evidence to you right there. I mean, it's why. What's your favorite team? The Packers. They keep on losing to the Niners, where they in NFC Championship games because you've had.
I'll never forget about special teams after that 2021 divisional game.
Yes. So, special teams. It's important, man. You got to get it right. I mean, you could even tell Nebraska former head coach Scott Frost about it. He was reminiscent of the Packers in there. So, was it still a great game? We can all agree, yes. We can all agree, yes.
I'm done.
Had a great time. As we talked about the Rihanna Super Bowl halftime show, spectacular.
It was.
Go off.
I
like
the little Smash Bros memes because it looked like
that was true. I didn't even think of that when I first came out, but it definitely did look like Smash Bros. But so all in all, a great Super Bowl and a really sad ending.
I enjoyed watching you, dance and sing yourself to some Rihanna.
I was, dude. I was getting down to some Rihanna. I'm not even gonna lie.
I love these halftime shows when we're reminded of just how many bangers these artists have. Like,
For real.
Rihanna probably has like 10, 15 well-known bangers.
I've been listening to Rihanna today. I'm like, which one did she play last night? Oh, this one, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it got me back in the Rihanna mood.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, that's the goal of it all, right? But
I also loved there was that Tubi commercial, and we all looked at Chris thinking that he was sitting on the remote, but it was actually just the commercial.
Was that probably your favorite commercial of the night? Do you have like a memory?
No, definitely my favorite commercial is that Popcorners one with Breaking Bad. I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan, of course, and they had to do that for me.
Did I go to the bathroom during this? I don't remember this at all.
You might have been.
You may have been there,
but I mean, it's on YouTube. It's been on YouTube for like a week now.
Oh,
so,
man.
I mean, with Jesse and Walt.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it, man.
Tight.
That's
what I was saying earlier when we were out there.
I make 7
the
of
reference. Yeah. No, you make 7. Yeah.
Well,
that's great.
I clearly missed that one. I probably like the Busch Light one where they had the one who does all the dog commercials. Where he was like for just $1 a day, and then you click the Busch.
Sarah
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Sarah McLachlan. That's pretty good. That was pretty good. What was the one where the guy was just dancing in front of the fountain? I just thought that was good vibes. I just like that one. But all right, I'll definitely be sure to watch that one on YouTube.
Look it up.
So I will. But that about does it for us. Next week we're gonna get back to our picks. We're gonna get you some NBA and college basketball. Don't worry, we'll put you guys on. Don't worry, we'll be better. We had a really rough end to both football seasons.
Yeah.
So we'll be sure. And don't you worry, guys. March Madness is coming up. So that's going to be an arguably even more exciting pod.
Chaos.
Spicy.
Yes,
Spicy pod.
Yes, it will be. And if Southern Illinois somehow miraculously makes it, expect it to be off the rails. So, guys, if you're listening on Spotify, please be sure to give us a follow and a like. If you're listening on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, also give us a like there. And thank you so much for joining us. This has been Cole, Joey, Jordan on the Inside Sports Podcast. Yes! With the DE capitalized, obviously. Have a great one.